Chapter 17, All Falls Down. The crush of people surging toward you is the only thing that stirs your limbs to move. You grab Toronto Rain and fly above the mass of press and socialites, making your way to the nearest window.
Toronto, is that you?
A woman screams from somewhere below. It's my mom, Toronto Rain says. Just keep going, I'll deal with my parents later. As you crash outside, the implications of what just happened begin to settle in. Prodigal has ruined you. You'll never have your big moment, the one where you reveal your true identity as a legend. You'll never be able to redeem the Hamner name. Not now. Not after this. Really? Just give up, kid. Just give up. What's the point? How could this have even happened? All you can think is that Prodigal must have gotten your personal information out of Toronto Rain, but before you can ask, she says, "Hey, the face, I'm so sorry. The things she said she did, I didn't want to tell, but it's alright," you say. Even though it's not Toronto Rain's fault, you'd still have to give Grandma a big fat I told you so for inviting your sidekick into your personal life. Indeed, that's what Grandma needs, more of that. But then something else strikes you. Toronto Rain... what? Oh, sorry. I skipped paragraphs somehow. And then something else strikes you. Toronto Rain should only have known about your Sterling identity. How could she have known about your Hamner identity? Did she somehow put it together from your brunch with Jenny? Stop, you tell yourself. The only thing that matters at this moment is, now that I'm outed, I need to find Grandma. She's in safety. Find Prodigal now. Let's do that one. Find Prodigal. I have every confidence in Grandma to take care of herself, quite frankly. She seems a very capable lady. With Jenny on her way to find Grandma, not really. She's on the way to my house, where we established Grandma was not, right? Grandma was at the train station or something like that. Maybe on the way to the house, but whatever. With Jenny on her way to find Grandma, you have to focus on solving this problem at its source. Prodigal must be stopped. In a vague sense, we don't really know what she's doing next. Steeling yourself, you turn to Toronto Rain. You should get home. Taserface, I can't thank you enough for choosing to save me, but I'm not going anywhere, she says, crossing her arms. We're in this together. I've earned that right. You nod. After all she has been through tonight, Toronto Rain deserves to see this through to the end, if that's what she wants. Taserface, I think there's something I should tell you. Toronto Rain starts hugging herself, but you've already moved on. You try to pull yourself together, but it doesn't help when you catch a glimpse of a nearby jumbotron that displays Mayor Victon's holo image addressing the public. Not sure how this heinous murder was allowed to happen, he says, but we're certainly going to bring the so-called hero, Taserface, in for questioning. This is exactly the kind of amateur irresponsibility that Millennial City must begin to... You turn away and tune out, not having time to focus on anything but your next move. You take a deep breath and try to stem the tide of panic that wells up inside you, harnessing the adrenaline coursing through your body. It must be time to ask for help. But who should you call? Ghostbusters! I'm gonna call no one. I work alone. This is one of those options where I really want to choose this for roleplay purposes, but I also want as good an ending as possible. And if I want a good ending, the game probably wants me to friggin' make up and make out with black magic. But there's no reason to call black magic specifically. Although if I call either Millennial Group or Rebellion, I suppose there's a chance they may shun me for being unheroic in their eyes or some bull crap like that. Let's call black magic for the drama. I thought you might call, Black Magic says. How are you? You can't fathom why Black Magic would ask a question like that, considering what has just happened to you. Maybe she hasn't seen the news yet. Black Magic's a she? Please tell me that's a typo. I'm so confused if she's a she this whole time. Maybe Black Magic uses magic to take on whatever form they want. And sometimes they're a girl, and sometimes they're not a girl. That's very confusing though. I'm very confused. Black Magic, I know we have to sort through some things, but... You thought you'd still call me for help in your hour of need, Black Magic says, sounding chilly. You weren't there for me in mine, Taserface. You haven't even had the decency to call me back. So don't expect any support from me. Cool, now I'm super justified in hating you. Anger swells up inside of you, and you're about to shout in return, but Meech of Algernon appears with a call from Jenny. You hold your breath and switch the calls, more nervous than you've ever been. Jenny, is everything? I'm at your place with your grandma, Jenny says, causing you to finally exhale with relief. until you hear that Jenny's voice is shouting over a din of explosions. "We need you to get here, there's—" The line goes dead. That means her me chip went dead, right? And your blood runs cold. Someone is attacking the two most important people in your life right this second. My parents? Oh, how? You're in the air before you even realize it, flying faster than you have ever before. 5 minutes later. All attempts to call Jenny during your flight have failed, but you can already see your apartment building coming into view. Toronto Rain struggles to keep up behind you. She hasn't dared to say anything the entire way. So as you approach your apartment, you turn back and shout, "Whatever we find in there, don't hold back!" And that's gonna be a lot of collateral damage. Next thing you know, you're crashing through your living room window, and it's chaos. All around you, Grandma's plants battle swarms of pool killer robots. DeMilo snaps a tentacle arm in two before another pool killer hacks through her stem. Oh no! You look toward the door and see that Gundam Italia has already gone up in flames. Forcing that image from your brain, you scan for Grandma and Jenny to find them huddled in a corner, protected by a thick wall of vines and branches. But not thick enough I can't see through it, apparently. Pool killers converge on the spot, attempting to break through the leafy barrier. You watch as a vine swings away, giving Jenny a chance to fire her gun at an approaching pool killer. Without thinking, you use an energy tech override surge, blast the pool killers away, shield Grandma, and let Jenny do the shooting. No. Screw you. Let's blast the pool killers away. A tech override surge. I'm curious what that even means. Override the tech of all IPs in range. Focusing with all your might, you imagine the robotic cores of the pool killers surging with energy. As you do, the pool killers begin to convulse and spark Stanky Bean. Does everything run on Stanky Bean in this world? Crashing to the floor in lifeless heaps. Well, they're robots, so they were always lifeless. Once the pool killers are down, you rush over to Grandma and Jenny. "We're all right," Jenny says, though she looks like a mess. Her gown is ripped up the side, and she bleeds from a small cut on her cheek. "I got here just in time." "I could have handled these toys on my own," Grandma says, brushing herself off, "though it appears as if I have some replanting to do." Grandma tries not to show it, but as she looks over the sliced and charred remains of her indoor garden, you know her heart is breaking. We should go now," Jenny says. "It isn't safe here anymore." "Yes," you say, already moving toward the door. "Do we think this is Prodigal or the Splice Circle?" "It was Prodigal. She made me do it," Toronto Rain shouts. "I'm so sorry. I didn't want to." Before you can ask Toronto Rain what she's talking about, Prodigal blinks into existence next to her. You instinctively raise your hands to blast her away, but Prodigal holds a gun to Toronto Rain's head. "Oh, hi, everyone," Prodigal says, smiling wildly. "My dear Miss Rain, so good to see you again." "She said she'd kill my parents if I didn't do what she said," Toronto Rain sobs. "I wanted to tell you for so long. I did. I was so afraid." You, Jenny, and Grandma all stare, speechless. Your brain feels as if it's stuck in syrup, moving too slowly to keep up. I don't think having your brain feel like it's moving is a good thing to feel. That's how you get, brain hemorrhaging. Toronto Rain has always been working for Prodigal? No, Toronto Rain must be talking about giving her a secret identity earlier tonight. I have no idea what to think. I knew it! I didn't know it. I know what to think. The first one. Toronto Rain has always been working for Prodigal. Although, scratch that question mark, 'cause that's stupid. I know it. It's unfathomable. All this time, it can't be. It just can't. You pray that you are wrong. "Yes, Miss Rain was rather stubborn about the whole thing, but she played along well enough," Prodigal says, stroking Toronto's hair with her gun. "And I must say, Grandma Hamner, you do pack a mean brunch. I forced Toronto Rain to bring me as many leftovers as she could scrounge." You hear Prodigal's words, and it's too much. Everything is wrong. It's all... "Looks like I have something explaining to do," Prodigal says, producing a golden locket out of thin air. "What is your power, Prodigal? Let's go somewhere a bit more private to chat, shall we?" You and Jenny push forward at the same time, but it's too late. The room falls out from under you. Next chapter, Grand Plans. Yeah, we're continuing. Chapter 18, Grand Plans. Before your eyes flutter open, your first thought is that you really need to invest in some anti-teleportation tech upgrades for your costume. Then, as you do open your eyes, your second thought is, where did all the lights go? That's when you feel dozens of little legs crawling all over you. Frantic, you reach your arms up, but they smack against wood. Then panic sets in as the reality of your situation crystallizes. You are trapped in a coffin. Full of spiders! You can only hear the sound of your scream bouncing back at you as you press your hands to the unmoving lid. Blast my way out. Blow the coffin. Create an antidote to kill the spiders and destroy the coffin all at once. That's And let's just blow the coffin. I'm not scared of no spiders. You charge the coffin with stanky bean energy and rig it to explode as quickly as possible. Suddenly, light bursts into view between chunks of splintered wood and the spider carcasses. Some of the splintered wood cuts into your skin through your costume, but you're just happy to be out of that death trap. You look around and find that you aren't free yet, but you're still in a large cage made of horizontal metal bars, and Grandma lies unconscious beside you. You rush to her side. Thankfully, her pulse is still strong. She's just knocked out. She'll be fine. She dodged the brunt of the attack, Jenny says from nearby. You spin to find she's in a metal cage of her own, unmarred. You scan the room for Tirana Rain, but she doesn't appear to be here. Your energy bounced off the metal bars and hit her, which means you won't be able to blast your way out of these cells. You immediately think of Meechip Algernon, knowing you need to get Grandma medical attention. None of these options matter because we know Algernon's not going to respond, because that's how this story goes. Call the Ghostbusters, Algernon. But as the thought forms, you feel a vacancy somewhere in the back of your mind. When Algernon doesn't immediately respond, you raise your wrist to find a scabbed-over crevice where your Meechip used to be. You feel a wave of despair run through you, paired with a jagged rush of loneliness. Is this what Grandma feels like all the time without a Meechip? So, unplugged? You have to be plugged to feel unplugged, and Grandma was never plugged. You turn to Jenny, and even though she's already scanning the room for escape points, she too rubs her wrist anxiously. What kind of maniacal evil genius could have laid such an elaborate trap? Prodigal suddenly says, appearing across the room. I mean, spider coffins, leeched Meechips, energy-proof cages, it's downright indulgent. Evil extravagance at its absolute finest, don't you think? You look over at Prodigal and take in your surroundings. Your room appears to be some kind of technology-tricked-out underground bunker that smells like a mixture of ripe laundry and frozen dinners. Then you notice the walls. They're covered with vintage posters of your parents in their Sound and the Fury costumes. Every inch is occupied with the photos, but they've all been twisted and distorted with graffiti. Then you see the center of the wall, where a life-size photo of you in your Taserface costume hangs. What the slugger is this? Welcome to my luscious lair, Prodigal says, waving her arms around. Do you like what I've done with the place, chickens? Sure, why? Greedy, greedy, oh so needy, hold your horses. I'm rigging something up that will answer all your meddling questions, Prodigal says, looking down at a tablet device that appears in her hands. But if you must know, we're about 3 miles underneath the Big Sur fusion plant. I didn't ask where we were. Game, I appreciate a little more subtlety when you ignore my choices like that. That's impossible. The BFP powers the entire western portion of America, so its security measures are quite literally impenetrable. It's 30 miles inland from MC, but there's no way you're anywhere within 10 miles of the plant. Otherwise, you'd have been detected instantly. Your look of skepticism wounds me, Prodigal says. I happen to have the power to generate whatever technology I can imagine, so as long as it has some kind of warfare application, rather bizarre how power sets can take out parameters like that, isn't it? Anyway, by bypassing every security measurement of the BFP took a long time to sort out, but I eventually worked up the appropriate counter-tech. This little hideaway is accessible only by telelock. They really are one of my handiest inventions, don't you think? Options. That certainly explains why Prodigal can make technology and weaponry appear out of thin air. If that's true, it would make sense that Prodigal is the owner of the artillery weapons business. I thought Prodigal's power was supposed to generate kick shields. The first one, they're all boring. But I do tire of explaining myself. It's all right here for you, Prodigal says. She reaches between the bars and hands you the tablet. You look down at the screen and it reads, The Prodigal Plan. You've got to be kidding me, you say, almost laughing. What are you, a comic book villain? Laugh all you want, but we're in the age of interactive reality, my little Taserface, Prodigal replies with malice. I've captured every step of my rise into this villainous legend for the public's pleasure. As a matter of fact, we're rolling now, so make sure to smile for the cameras. Prodigal gestures towards several floating dots that hover around her. Evidently, these are cameras following her every move. You reading through my master plan is part of the grand climax, so do hurry along. You look down at the tablet again, and a holographic menu of options appears under the header, The Manifesto. I do want to see her origin. You must be wondering just who I am, Prodigal's holographic 3D image says, projecting out of the tablet. So let's cut right to the chase. I'm a bit of a legacy myself. My mother is famous, or rather I should say she was famous. You see, Mommy Dearest was murdered when I was but a wee girl, by two of the worst heroes to ever walk this earth. As Prodigal talks, your stomach seizes. It can't be! Typically, always 5 steps behind. That's right, loyal viewers, I am the daughter of the one and only Miss Artillery, who was murdered by the Sound and the Fury. To sum it up, I am the Prodigal's daughter, given the gifts of her weaponry prowess before my time, the pinnacle of wasteful extravagance. You never knew that Miss Artillery had a daughter. In fact, you never bothered to know much about her at all, since you blamed her for your parents' fates just as much as Mayor Victon. It never occurred to you that there might be someone out there blaming your family for the very same thing. And it is my life's ambition to become the villainess my mother never could be. In fact, it is my life's ambition to become the world's most legendary terrorist of all time. Sure, the arches of enemy. In every rise of legendary villainy, there must always be an archenemy to vanquish, Prodigal continues in holo 3D form. As you probably already know, I have chosen the fine Taserface to be mine. After all, we are inextricably linked by the sins of our parents. The parallels are really quite nice, don't you think? We're both striving for legend to make our fallen parents proud, forever locked in a battle of good and evil. An epic feud played out for all the world to see. It's so wonderfully consonant. After all, heroes cannot exist without villains, nor can villains flourish without heroes to crush. And crush Taserface I shall. I'm going to do what Mommy Artillery never could. I'm going to destroy the Hamner family. Tolls and goals. Naturally, I have been following the Hamners for years, all through their time in the PFPP. One of the perks of being powered to generate wartime tech is access to an uncanny level of surveillance. As Prodigal's holo 3D image keeps talking, you don't even want to think about what that means. The thought that Prodigal has been watching you all this time is ... terrifying. Of course, I could have killed the Hamners at any moment, but murdering Taserface directly would do nothing to get me noticed. 'Twould have been but a momentary blip on the great media radar. No, to make a true impact, I need a sweeping plot, a grand tale of monumental struggle. Most important, I needed Taserface to be a famous hero for his downfall to truly mean anything. So I waited, patiently honing my powers and building a sizable fortune by selling my weaponized inventions, all funded by a nice little nest egg left to me by the Sound and the Fury's estate. You have to fight the urge to scream. Prodigal used your parents' estate, the money they made by saving lives as heroes, to fund all of her twisted endeavors. She used the money that should have been yours, the money from your parents' legacy, to build weapons designed only to kill. Your blood boils at the thought. Quite frankly, I don't see why she even needed any sort of nest money. Thus emerged the Artillery, a weapons empire named after my mother, the one who bequeathed my technology inventing powers. I didn't know you could do that, though I doubt she ever knew that I'd grow to become an Infini-class powered. Hearing this, you notice that Jenny flinches. What the slugger is an Infini-class powered? Sounds like a fragment of a sentence. Why have you never heard of this before? For those not in the know, that basically means I'm among a new breed of powereds with near omnipotent, limitless, uncharted levels of power. Rather scintillating, is it not? Or is it scintillating? I've always said scintillating. You turn to Jenny, who just gives you an ominous look. And now, I'm gonna throw the tablet to the floor and ignore Prodigal's wishes! Yeah, even though I read the whole thing already. Without even glancing down, you toss the tablet to the ground and listen as it cracks in two. You maintain eye contact with Prodigal, making sure she knows that you won't be playing by her rules anymore. Well, that was rather rude, Prodigal says through clenched teeth. You smirk, happy to have pissed her off. Ah, good. Grandma Hamner is back with us, Prodigal says as Grandma begins to stir at your side. She will want to hear what's coming next. You immediately squat down and help Grandma sit up. She nods at you, indicating that she's all right. For now. Meanwhile, Prodigal has begun to pace, filmed on all sides by her floating cameras. And now the time has come to break Taserface's spirit. First, I shall make the Hamners watch as I murder their beloved agent, Jenny. Jenny balls up her fists. She's clearly not going down without a fight. Still, cold fear creeps its way into your chest. You have to find a way to escape. Then I'll make Taserface watch as I kill sweet Grandma Hamner, Prodigal says. I think strengthening her with some dead vines will do quite nicely. Such poetic symmetry, don't you think? This sends you over the edge. Prodigal isn't coming near Grandma ever again. You're about to attack when you see that Jenny holds out a slip of paper through the bars of her cell. Where the slugger did Jenny get a pen and paper? What is this, the 21st century? You glance at Prodigal, but she's too busy with her monologue performance to notice Jenny's note. Then I shall commit the ultimate act of my career. I shall finally murder Taserface. It's rather silly that I haven't done so already, but the narrative arc demanded some dramatic pause, for when he finally does die, I want him to be truly alone, without hope or trust left in this world. But you've already stopped listening to Prodigal, instead deciding whether to risk grabbing the note from Jenny. Yes. How about... just yes. You inch toward Jenny and grab the note without Prodigal seeing. You then glance down at it and read, "You are Infinity Power 2. Powers uncharted. Use when I say." Just use? You read these words and force them to digest. What does this mean? What exactly are you capable of? If I'm Infinity Power, why have I had this engine lamp the whole time? Then I'll send this little interactive video right to the devoid, Prodigal continues in her own world, ensuring the sound and the Fury will suffer the way I have suffered. They will be served the ultimate justice as I take away their family the way they took away mine. Then I will be off to the presses with my little video project so everyone can marvel at my evil genius. Prodigal pauses, evidently winding up for some final unhinged announcement. Of course, by then I'll have to decimate all of Millennial City with a nuclear holocaust so people will be very interested in who I am. Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, Prodigal plunges to a new depth of hell. This must be why you're under the fusion plant. She's going to somehow cause a nuclear event. This is not something you can allow to happen. Prodigal lets out a ridiculous fake laugh. Ha 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 ha. She's really playing at this villainous thing pretty hard. Which isn't all that stupid, you think. The more convincing her performance, the more people will probably get to tune in. The more people she will probably get to tune in to her little video project, no doubt. Only when I will be the most legendary villainess of all time, Prodigal yells. After I achieve the greatest act of terrorism ever committed on American soil, Taserface will be known as the most useless hero of all time. And I will become a living legend. Prodigal finally stops pacing and takes a massive breath, immensely pleased with herself. Now then, let's do some killing, shall we? Next chapter, the Prodigal Daughter. Does Prodigal have a daughter? That would be crazy. This is longer than I thought, I suppose. Maybe next chapter will be the finale, who knows? I'm sure you guys will know, because the thumbnail will indicate so, whether or not. Yeah, let's probably go die in an explosion.